We have good news for you. Foreclosure Protection Services can help save your home as they specialize in foreclosure assistance. That's all they do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-667-9035. Their network of attorneys.
Slowly ratcheting things up. Want to see the headline from Mr. T's looking at that? Pick out anything you want. Hi everybody. Boom, what's up people? Clean your guns. Clean your guns. And then clean your guns. Okay, Mom. Got anything to say?
It's not the end of the world yet.
Scotty,
But the past me, yes.
you got anything you want to say? Opening remark?
Wash your filthy hands and stay home if possible.
Good as this. About a dish. A dish. A bass. To last. Yeah. Stay home if possible. Only go out for necessities like food. Okay. I had a couple conversations today with some of my relatives, and some of them are just boy are the chats coming in now. Anyway, one of my one's a cousin. She's been following all these briefings that Trump has been having and all that kind of stuff, and which I want to make some comments about the press and some of these briefings, which we get to. Anyway, she was talking about two major plants that closed down here in Meadville. One is Channel Rock, and the other one is C&J Plastics. Now,
Yeah, essential it is.
well, Channel Rock is all tools. Okay, hand tools. But they do have a tool and die shop, or did have, to make their dies. So I don't think they set them out to get them made. I think they did them themselves. But C&J is a plastic company. At one time, they made some plastic medical products like the ambu bag used to rebreathe people. So technically, they should be bumped up from non-essential to essential because of the crisis under the 1939 War Powers Act or bill, defense bill. So, they should be classified, but all these people got laid off. We had this discussion. We said it's gonna be 4 or 5 weeks before people get their money. Well, that might very well be. But a lot of places are putting moratoriums on collection of payments or interest rates. And I said, besides that, Congress is working on a bill which is supposed to be approved by the end of this weekend to give each American adult, well, the last figure I heard was $2,000, $1,000 in two
Like
payments.
they keep saying I heard 5,000, 2,000,
Yeah.
1,200, but only if you made less than $75,000 a year.
Yeah, well, the number I saw today was $950,000 a year.
I make so much, I make millions of dollars a year.
I know, so
I am loaded. I'm
I'm
gonna
on-
buy you a house, I'm gonna buy you a house, and we're all gonna move in together, we're gonna have a big old party. Woo, woo.
No, buy me an aircraft carrier, we'll put it in Tamarack Lake, then we can have all the party of our
How
own.
much water is in that lake now?
It's full.
It's full.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I see filled up.
You can see it from the road when you drive down past
There
it.
was a handicap fishing pier that was been out there now. The front end of it is underwater. Okay? Because they were gonna raise the level. Okay, they were gonna raise the level when they did the repairs, which they did. It's up to the top where the outtake is. Alright, so, at the end of the pier is about 3 feet or 4 feet of it, about, looks like 3 or 4 inches underwater. I'm wondering if that's because over a period of years of being they're empty, it dried out and flattened out. And that, so, but yeah, as it may. The Tamarack Lake is full again.
I wonder how much in the way of fish it has. Have they been stocking it, do you know, or?
Yeah, they put some fish in it, breeding fish or stockfish. Feeder fish is what they call it. Okay, I just checked my mic. Anybody hear it out there? Hello? Yeah, I plugged it in. Okay, well, it's on there, Bob. So you might have to, the fans are louder than I am. Oh, so you can close that window and the door. To the box that contains the window. Then again, my voice is a little bit soft too, so. But does that help the background noise? It should, because I can hear a difference. Okay, well, I'll start doing that. I'll go back to yeah. I'll go back to what I was saying, which was, what was I saying?
Plant closures and money and.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, there's several different bills that I have seen, and one of them is supposed to get approved. And I saw that the basic qualifications are to get it. Number one, you have to make less than $950,000 unless that was a typo error, which it possibly could.
Probably 90,000.
Probably 90 or 95,000. But anyway, if you are a retired citizen, you will get the check. If you're on Social Security, you will get a check. If you are working at the age of 18 or older and you got laid off, you will get the checks. Okay, that's what this is the latest information I have. Kids will get, I believe, that number has changed several times. I've seen anywhere from $500 twice to like anyway, $500 twice. So,
However, I was reading on Breitbart News here just a few moments ago. Nancy Pelosi rejects bipartisan rescue package, prepares own plan. Nation waits on Nancy as economy stalls.
well, there you go, folks. You want to know who's trying to control the country and trying to control your future? Is Nazi Pelosi, the communist of Washington. She's beginning to surpass Bernie as the biggest communist in the country.
I understand, they've been trying to run abortion bill amendment, Worse than knowing them and some other crap on there. It has nothing to do with the situation.
Yeah, well,
Right now.
yeah, well, see, this is also, like we have been saying, this is also to make Trump look bad. But so far, actually, just today I saw a thing where the approval rate of Trump handling of the coronavirus situation or emergency has gone up 12 or 17%. And that's even including the comment from one of them lovely Muslim ladies.
Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, Omar, I believe it was. Yeah, she made the comment that Trump was precisely the man we needed. Here comes Booger. Was precisely the man we needed for handling this crisis. And that, so there are some changing of the thinking in Washington, but as long as the Pelosi is refusing to allow stuff to be brought to the floor, you're going to be kept in limbo, and whatever economic aid that does get passed down through there to try and keep this country from sliding into a depression is going to be slowed, which means that, hey, wait a minute, get that thing off of there. No, thank you, not in the middle of a program. No hard feelings, just stay the fuck out of my TV screen. Yeah. Anyway, any attempt to try and keep the economic situation from falling apart, so that when this does finally break, cease, desist, or subside, or start to subside, then people can go back to work and have the money to generate the economy again. Okay? And but if you are laid off, you'll be able to collect unemployment compensation, but it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get it. Now, under this emergency situation, it might be a little quicker. Don't know. So,
I just find it suspicious. Well, first off, I'm just going to throw this kind of half out there. Not that I 100% believe this. These are just my conspiracy-minded thoughts. How many of the people out there that have tested positive for this COVID-19 would have previously tested positive for it and it not even have come across the radar, because every year people get sick. You know, it happens.
Yeah, the symptoms are so close to flu and other things.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't take it seriously. Wash your hands, stay home, do what's right and proper. But, I mean, what if we hadn't known about this? What if it never come up in the press? So it did. It came up in the press, and they're lambasting everybody. They're panic-mongering the planet. Thank you very much. So, I started thinking, what have they done? They're telling everyone to stay home. They're shutting down bars. They're shutting down restaurants. All places where people meet. You're not supposed to have more than a couple of people together. We're probably committing a felony, just three of us being in the same room.
Depending on the size of the state and where they're quarantining, the sizes have changed. I've heard from 200, when it first started, it was 250 or less. Then it was down to like 25 or less. Now some places are saying 10 or less.
That's the CDC recommendation, no more than 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, historically, going back a couple of hundred years, if a group of people wanted to foment or get together and complain about and maybe try to figure out a way to stop the madness in a tyrannical government, where did they meet? Your taverns, your bars, your restaurants. Now people, and thankfully this is cool. There's a lot of Facebook sites popping up, one of which sponsored by our local medical center, where they're broadcasting people like putting on mini concerts in their home. They're, just to kind of get people's minds off of it, which is really good. But
speaking of Facebook in this area, is there? Carl County has a gym.
Yes.
Are they releasing non-violent prisoners?
I haven't heard anything about that.
I haven't heard anything about
I know
that.
to the south in Mercer County, they already have.
Ohio has done it statewide.
And that kind of now Lawrence County is contemplating releasing non-violent prisoners because they don't want them to get sick in jail.
Understood.
Okay, now, the question is, probably safer, but why? I don't think the government wants to pay for their medical expenses.
Exactly.
No.
But non-violent or not, what do you got people in for? For burglaries, thefts of some kind, breaking into homes, cars. Is there like a rash of crime?
Hopefully they're talking about people that have DUIs. Okay, who have they're in there because they can't pay the outrageous child support. Okay, and maybe even those who have been caught using drugs, not necessarily selling, but taking drugs. Those I don't mind, but if it comes to a burglar who's got a track record as long as my arm, I'm sorry. That bastard stays there, and probably the best thing that could happen for the economy or for the country is for him to get the coronavirus. Okay, and croak, so we don't have to keep him for $30,000 a year. Then there'd be one less crook on the streets again.
Right, you talk about the drug users, okay? They can't get drugs. Well, they need money to buy drugs. So where do you get money from?
Well, they steal it, like they sell it.
And who are they going to steal it from?
Those who supposedly have it. Me. No.
Well,
They
breaking your house,
I'll pay them. I'll pay them off. I'll support their habit.
With lead.
Yeah. I'll give them the cure for all disease, lead. Anyway, that sounded harsh, cruel, and unsensitive and joking, but in order to survive this, you've got to maintain your sense of humor and not let it get under your skin too far. I mean, it gets under mine because of all the shit that I'm seeing. There was a thing here, Cabela's has sold out all its ammunition. Okay, it's gone. They're completely wiped out. Okay, what's that tell you? Is that telling you maybe you should have been listening to this show and following our directions for years when we've been telling you to buy ammo and stock it up, because when things get hairy, you're not going to be able to walk down to your neighborhood gun store and buy a box of bullets. Okay?
Is your Dunham's closed?
I don't know if they're closed, but I know, I don't know.
I know down my way, ours is. Or is that yesterday?
Well, I know down by your way a lot of stuff may be closing more so than up here because of the fact that they've got some outbreaks down there, down your way.
Well, south of us.
Yeah, south of you. But.
On the Three Counties Road, Crawford versus Lawrence, as of yesterday, I know nobody reported being ill from the virus. Now, Erie's got 1 or 2.
Well, last day we had
got 1. Beaver County's got several. Allegheny's got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And across the line, Mahoning and Trumbull counties have several each.
I know Erie County had one. I haven't heard of them getting another one, but that doesn't mean anything because I've been busy doing a lot of things here.
Right. I go back to the buying guns. A guy, I wish I had bought more ammo last money for hunting ammo. I did, but well, I was waiting in line to buy what I got. Put in my basket. 2 people bought 9mm handguns. 3 folks bought high-end. High-end, like $1,000 plus AR-15s. Really souped up, nice looking,
All the tactical cool shit.
All that stuff. Okay. Yeah. The folks in 9mm, I think one bought 1 box of 50, another box, 2 boxes of 50 each. AR-15 ammo. I think one guy bought a couple hundred rounds, or so I can't remember the number. The other guys didn't buy any, but I didn't see anybody buy a spare mag. Now the pistol may come with a spare mag. I don't know. I didn't.
Well,
but
the semi-automatics usually, they used to, not all of them, but the majority of them came with 2, except for back when there was the magazine ban on, when they were selling the guns without the magazines, telling you we'll ship you one when we get them.
I mean, the guy came, the guy who was doing the selling, he bought the storage room, and and a magazine with it. I haven't seen anybody buy a spare mag.
Spare mag.
I wonder how many AR-14s are being sold.
I don't know, but I would like to have one. That's a new one. Man, AR-14, just that number.
Specs in that yet.
You know, that's a Valentine gift, you know?
Apparently that auto worker that got into it with Biden, he went out and had a special AR-14 made. Well, it was just an AR-15, but he had it like engraved with AR-14, shut the hell up Joe, or some silliness along the magazine side.
But it shows you that these people they are not in tune with the general public. If they were in tune with their constituents, and they know that they're making making guns an issue, you would think they would take the time to learn what the fuck they're talking about. Beep. Okay? Beep. Anyway, you would think they would learn what they're talking about. No, an AR-15 is an AR-15. That the magazine capacity is 30 rounds, 20 rounds, 5 rounds, 10 rounds, whatever it is for the particular gun. They're not high capacity. That's standard capacity.
20 was the old standard, 30 is a new standard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Technology.
So if you have a 30, what's the new standard?
Yeah.
So if you have a 40, 50, ooh, that's high capacity.
Got one of them drums? Wow. So
But I don't think they have any drums. I didn't see anything.
I've seen them, and I've had them a couple times, and I've tried them a couple times, and I've had a problem with them.
They're fickle.
Yeah, with them feeding through the way they're supposed to. One time they work, next time they don't quite.
Depending upon the ammo, if it gets dirty, one side gets dirty, the other one doesn't. It's crazy.
So they're fickle, but anyway, I do want to tell you people out there while we're talking about this, we finally got the electricity hooked up in our undisclosed location. I will probably, and since I won't be here, I don't think Mr. T will or Scott will, unless they want to come in. I'll show them how to set things up. But I will probably not be here because they have had a confirmed case up in Erie County. And I made the statement that I would be vacating the area. So now that we've got, not that I can't get along without electricity, but
it certainly makes things a little easier.
Yeah. So until the power goes out, then we'll just have to build a nice big bonfire. But anyway,
Seen from space.
but I'll still be able to eat because I know how to cook on an open fire. And I don't necessarily need cooking utensils either. I cooked bread with a stick one time.
I must admit, for a man who used to make guns for a living, you wouldn't think he was a very good cook, but I've had some of your cobbler. I think his peach cobbler was one of my favorites of yours. He can make, in an old Dutch oven over a fire, he can make a bang-up cobbler. Good stuff.
Yeah, we had all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yes. Speaking of gun shows,
I didn't think we were.
well, guns.
I'm talking about guns. What's up with it? Yeah.
Next weekend was at West Middlesex, PA, Hidden Valley Sportsman Club. It's supposed to be a gun show. That has been canceled.
I'm guessing they've all been canceled for the most part.
It was on their website. Just check it out the other day, and they were canceled. So
I have not closed or canceled the cherry tree one that I'm putting on, but since these situations arised, I have not been receiving the registrations for tables. I've got reservations for half, but if they decide to extend the deadline from April the 2nd, for another week, I'm not going to have time to advertise, so I will probably, April the 2nd, have to take out a small ad and cancel the show. And then I'll have to make some refunds. But,
so anyway, next weekend, we're supposed to be 28th, 29th. The Hidden Valley Sportsman Club, West Middlesex, PA, that gun show is canceled. letting go. Find someplace else to go, I guess.
Well, Emmy, she says here, if Uncle Sam sends me a check for an AR-15, or sends me a $1,000 check, I'll take it to buy an AR-15. I'm telling you right now, Emmy, I don't know how straight you are with what you're talking about. If you don't have one, believe me, don't wait. Because the longer you wait, the more the demand, the more the hype mongering and panic mongering sets in. Especially with the press. As I started to say, I was watching one of Trump's conferences here beginning of the week. I think it was about Tuesday. And they went, and he come out and he gave us a talk about what's going on in that. We have 5 or 6 drugs that is proven to have some effect on the coronavirus. Okay? And he went down the list of them. So they're still in the study phase, so we don't really know, but those who are in their last gasp but want to try it will be able to ask for it and get it. Okay? But the guy from the Center for Disease Control, he got on there, or she got on there, and she told him the same thing. We have several in the pipeline. We're waiving all these regulations to allow it to be used on patients if they request it, to see if it's going to work. That way we can build up a history of whether it's working or not. And then the guy from the Drug Enforcement Department of Drugs, what do they call that?
FDA?
Yeah, Federal Food and Drugs, yeah. Okay, he come on and he went down through the list of the same things. So the list was reported 3 times. And all 3 times they said it is in the preliminary study stage, it is promising, but we don't want to get too hyped up. So when they were all done with all the rest of their information, Trump opened it up for questions. And you know what the first question was? Do we have any drugs in the pipeline that we might be able to use? Okay? What did we just spend the last 20 minutes telling you? Now, that was stupid. Do we have any? What it should have been is, can you repeat that list so we make sure we have it all down? Okay?
You probably had it already written as a question, and instead of trying to modify, you just wrote it.
Well, it shows you how dumb they are.
Well, I know.
Okay? And then, after he was done, some lady from somewhere whose skin color is not white, it's not black, is of, what do they call them? Over from around, I'm going to say Pakistan, India, in that area, the skin color they have. Yeah, okay? Tan, yeah. Looked like they've been out in the sun too long.
Tan.
Yeah, tan. Anyway, she gets on there and she asks the same question in a different way. So they gave her the information again. Then she asks, or she says, "Are we going to call this Kung Fu now?" Because I heard one of the White House staff say something about Kung Fu. Okay? And Trump goes, "Well, who was it? Oh, I don't know, I just heard it." Okay? Okay? So, yeah, and he said, "Well, no," he says, "it's China flu or China virus." "Well, why are you calling it China virus?" "Because it comes from China. What do you think?" Okay?
They're trying to get media type of Hollywood, you know, what? Well, you know, Trump's being racist, they call it Chinese virus, you know, China virus. Wait a minute. It came from China. You call it now, I understand it's not Wuhan, it's actually Wuhan. You pronounce that town, city.
Wuhan, huh? Wuhan.
We call it the Wuhan virus, or the Chinese virus, who cares? It came from China.
You gotta call it something, so you might as well call it from where it came from.
And that's what they normally do, hence the Spanish flu. So, you know, going back several
Well,
months.
swine flu from pigs. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, folks. the press has become utterly stupid. They cannot think past the fart that they got stuck in their ass. Okay?
And then when the president does try to be positive, he may speak in layman's terms, but he's trying to be a leader, trying to say, all right, listen, shit's crazy right now, but we're going to get through this. We're going to do it. We have things working on it. And then they start telling him to shut up. He shouldn't be on TV with it.
Yeah, now that's
censored.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know what he's talking about. People are scared, and
He's gonna false hope.
sometimes that's all you have is hope.
It's better to have hope than it is to have a complete utter depression and disaster, because that brings on a whole other problem. Even Pelosi's made a comment this week that, I think I have a story on it too, so if I do, we'll get to it maybe, that Trump should declare himself dictator. I have not seen anything that he's done that warrants the necessity to plant that idea that he should become dictator. He is doing what he feels needs to be done to try and save this country, whether the communists in Washington like it or not. He's trying to save your ass too.
I don't understand, there's a lot of, like Bill de Blasio from New York, he's saying people are going to die because Trump won't lift a finger to help. Well, he's trying to leave it up to the states to be more proactive at a local level, which I understand. And he's saying, I got your back, we'll do what we can to help.
He's doing what he can do to help. What more can he do? You can't shut the country down because there's sections of the country that don't have this problem. Okay?
And you can't materialize ventilators out of thin air.
That's right. So what do you do? With 3M, this is one of the things that we were talking about. 3M makes 35 million masks a month. But they can only market 10 million in this country because of regulations and liabilities. So what has Trump done? He waived those. So now 3M says that they can ramp up to do about 40 million a month because they now no longer have the liabilities and regulations that are sticking to them. And where did they come from? They came from all the previous administrations hammering all this bullshit onto the economy and taxing it to death. And he's done that with other industries. Removed the handcuffs from them to allow them to become more productive and bring the jobs home instead of leaving them overseas. And this goddamn disease or virus or whatever is a perfect example of why we need to go back to our independence and make our own stuff here. Not dependent on a pipeline from someplace else that's got an axe to grind against us because they don't like free enterprise system. They endorse the communist philosophy. Okay, they don't endorse capitalism.
They certainly like our money, though.
Oh, sure. And they like the jobs. They like having to work for their people because then the people are happy, they're not starving, they're not rioting. And but this is a perfect example of why we need to stop bringing stuff in, especially the necessary supplies. And I'll put medicine as a necessary supply.
There's no reason for us to take raw food, ship it to China, be processed, and then shipped back to us.
Well, it's the same.
You just opening up all that transmission time, or transit time for germ to get on there.
Yeah, and look what China's been caught doing. They've been putting unhealthy stuff in the food. So far, mainly it showed up in dog food. Okay, then there was the paint that they were using to make children's furniture that they were painting that had unhealthy stuff in it. I don't know what it was, but it was making kids sick. It's not because the kids were eating it. They might have, you know how little kids are, they want to bite something or chew on it, just because they're gumming, they got teeth coming in. So China's been trying to figure out a way to poison America and take us out of the picture. And if whether you believe me or you don't want to believe me, I believe the reason they kept it secret over in China about the coronavirus was to see how far it would spread, because China could lose 500 million people but not bat an eye because they still would have 500 million people left. And in fact, it would probably be a benefit to them if they did that. Plus, they're ruthless. They harvest your body parts when you're in prison. Okay, then they send your family the bill for the bullet that they used to shoot you in the back of the head. But this is the kind of shit that we're facing, and the fact that, like I said, this may have been an attempt to break the United States because they were in control of all our medical supplies, and they held it quiet for 2 or 3 months, whereas we had that advance warning. And to sum things up, remember when Trump put the first travel ban on? He was called a racist.
Xenophobe.
Yeah. So then he went and put another one on here about a week and a half ago on Europe, coming in from Europe, and, well, that was too little too late. Okay?
And you were the governor of Hawaii, did? If you're going to Hawaii, whether you're going to visit Hawaii, or whether you're coming back to your home in Hawaii, you will face a mandatory 14-day quarantine period.
Well, with what's going on, I hate to say that, but on an individual basis, I think it should be done.
And I understand New Jersey now is in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
They said, if you have a beach property somewhere, don't go through it. Just stay where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of beaches, did you see all them spring break idiot kids?
Yep. Ignored the warning that they were given.
Now, at least one of them is kind of sick.
Yeah, one of them here turned up sick.
I don't know where I was when I got it.
Well, it doesn't matter where you were when you got it. The fact that you didn't stay home or go home is the reason why you got it.
I'm talking more like just in the last day or two.
Oh, I know.
The one in Erie was a little early on. He should have stayed home to begin with. But, oh, did you also hear what them chuckleheads out west or out in California are doing? They're moving they're trying to move the homeless people into local rec centers to get them off the streets. And instead of them being outside in the fresh air, they're going to house them all in a enclosed up building.
You want to get rid of the homeless people? Put them all together and inject them with the virus and let it spread and kill them all.
I think the virus is generally the least of their concerns amongst that population.
I know, but
hepatitis and all that. I mean, again, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and I believe that that's what their the philosophy is. If one of those homeless has been exposed, okay,
and by
and put in these stadiums like you're talking, or sports centers, arenas, whatever.
No, like local rec centers.
Yeah, rec centers. Putting them all in the rec center there, you bring them all in, and one of them is contaminated. How many of the rest of them are going to get it? It's going to spread through all of them.
Like wildfire.
Yeah. Okay. And because even though they may look healthy enough, a lot of the homeless are not healthy because of the fact that they are homeless and they're not eating right, they're not sleeping right. Okay.
Generally speaking, most homeless people, especially in a lot of those tent cities, are drug related. So their immune system is compromised anyhow.
Yep.
By their living situation, their drug situation.
Yeah. It would be. We'll kill off I don't know how many homeless they figure they have out there in California.
7.
7 now?
7.
The other 148,000 have died off.
Something like that, yeah.
Overdose. There again, shouldn't be making jokes about it, but you gotta laugh. Otherwise, you're gonna sit here and bawl and not do anything. So, speaking of which, like I started to say earlier, I may not be here next week because of what's going on. I haven't heard of any Operation Crawford County yet, but it depends on how much they ratchet up the security.
I know there's at least one news article that talked about Trump may impose a national lockdown. But the Secretary of the Homeland Security, Steve Howe, said, no, we're not going to do that. Now, we already know the governor of New Jersey issued one to today. Hawaii's going after incoming people, either returning residents or visitors. New York City and other states are right down there in lockdown. Our governor is contemplating doing one possibly this week. Yep.
Down around Philadelphia?
Well, not this, no, statewide.
Oh.
Well, see, part of the issue is that people are staying home. Now, coming here, there's not as much traffic on the interstates and local roads as usually are. But I'm not staying home. I got things to do, places to go. I mean, I'm just going to Ohio today, come back over here,
Well, yeah,
Might have to go to the feed store, get food and animals, and stock up because they do a 2 week or more shutdown and stock up now on food.
yeah, well, that's it. Tomorrow I'm going to try and go down and pick up a few more groceries. We're running out of milk, so we got to get milk. And a couple other, what do you call the staples, stuff that you go through and you don't keep a large supply on. But
Speaking of which, have you been down to Oleski's lately?
I haven't been there since the beginning of last week.
Well, I don't know about when you went, but Melissa and I went down there the other day, and they have a one carton of eggs per customer limit. That's the only thing I saw that's being limited right now.
I know the Walmart in Newcastle, they were restocking the shelves. I guess it was toilet paper, and it was one package per customer.
Well, by the way, since you mentioned toilet paper, I want to tell people out there, listen, and listen close. If the store is out of toilet paper, but they've got paper towels, guess what, folks? The paper towel will clean your ass just as good as the toilet paper, if not better. So you can use toilet paper or paper towels as a toilet paper. So don't get caught in that line or scramble. If they're all jumping and hollering for the toilet paper, go and buy a package of paper towels. And in fact, that was one of the things my wife and I were going to go do. We picked up two bundles of paper towels last week. We're going to pick up a couple more. Not that I'm hoarding, okay? Not that I'm hoarding. It's just that if things get much hairier, I will not be here in this area, and I'll be needing to take all that stuff up there where I won't be able to get it. And as far as the nationwide shutdown, it does not make a whole lot of sense to make a nationwide shutdown because there's a lot of areas that are not affected. Midwest doesn't have this problem. In the West, okay, they don't have this problem. That doesn't mean there isn't a case or two, but they don't have the mass numbers. If they're going to do a shutdown, then you want to do it in the areas where you have a mass population and a heavy concentration of illness right now. And that should have been done when cases reached 7, 8, or 9 people. They should have been shut down a long time ago. But there again, nobody knew what it was, didn't know where it came from for about 3 or 4 months. So that's another thing. They told Trump. Trump's saying, well, we weren't prepared. No, you're never prepared for everything. You can prepare for so many things, and that not ever happen. The monkey wrench is when something new comes along that you're not prepared for, and that's what happened here.
If somebody who doesn't like it decides to, hey, you know what? Let's try these guys.
And there's a weaponized virus.
Well, I think that's what they were trying. That's what they were doing over in China, but then it got a little bit out of their control.
Oh, yeah.
And so
That's something for you to read. Thank you. Told it straight up.
yeah, if there's a lockdown and people start looting and breaking into houses, just know my locks aren't for your safety, not mine. I like that.
I figured you would.
Yeah. So, anyway, well, guys, who wants to go first with the story?
I had one there, but you took it.
Oh, I did. Which one was it?
One right on top.
This one?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I didn't see it. I thought you'd picked it up and kept it. I'm not being greedy. Here, have one. You have two.
All right.
Take three, they're small.
Going with the whole humor aspect of what we got going on, this is just makes me laugh thinking about it. Colorado sheriff asks criminals to halt lawbreaking during coronavirus crisis. A Colorado sheriff's office has responded to the coronavirus outbreak with a tongue-in-cheek Facebook post asking criminals to stop their unlawful antics until further notice. We appreciate your anticipated cooperation in halting crime and thank criminals in advance, says the post that was written Monday by the Logan County Sheriff's Office. We will update you when you can return to your normal criminal behavior. The Puyallup Police Department in Washington State tweeted a similar message Monday. Due to local cases of COVID-19, PPD is asking all criminal activities and nefarious behavior to cease. The department wrote on its Twitter page, "We appreciate your cooperation in halting crime and thank the criminals in advance. We will let you know when you can resume your normal behavior." The Hill reported that the Puyallup PD was one of several law enforcement agencies around the country to call on criminals to behave themselves due to the spread of COVID-19. Sure hope it works, William McIntosh wrote on Logan County Sheriff's Facebook page. But another commentator, Jesse Faulkner, wrote, "Way to joke about a very serious threat to America." Well, get over yourself, for crying out loud. If you go through every day being butthurt about everything and being wound up so tight, your head's going to explode. I have a hard enough time sleeping as it is when I'm already in a good mood.
I forget who it was down in Baltimore, maybe the mayor or somebody. He's asking the residents of Baltimore to quit shooting, stop shooting each other. Because they need the hospital beds for
Sick
virus. Yeah, sick people not.
Do you have the thing about the lockdown that they're trying to do? Well, before you do that, a couple comments here. Yeah, there's some, Bob said, don't forget the baby wipes, yes, and, one of the guys out there, I believe it was John, I don't know, I think he's a new guy, but I'm not sure. John Smith made the statement that the paper towels can cause clogged plumbing. Well, yes they can if you use a whole fist at one time. But if you take these new rolls that come out there with like a 4 to 6 inch wide sheet, you've seen them?
No.
Okay, well a lot of new rolls have 4 to 6 inch sheet instead of a normal 12-inch square that you were able to buy.
Oh, wait a minute. I think it's about, yeah.
Okay, if you take one of those and fold it in half and use it, it's going to be the same surface size, about the same surface size as your toilet paper.
Yeah, when I put that in the roll, I grab one,
Okay, so, but if you're afraid of clogging your drain, get yourself a bucket and throw them in a bucket, and then about once a day you go out and dump the bucket and burn it. Or burn it in your fireplace if you got one. You might as well get some heat out of that shit.
Pardon the pun.
When I was up in 2005 near the Iraqi-Turkish border, staying where I was staying, the plumbing system up there was fine if you were just going to urinate. But they requested if you have to poop, please take all your paper and put it in these bags. And when, if you fill one bag up, please tie it up, be nice, tie it up, and then start your going. They disposed of theirs, and I didn't ask how.
Comment from John Smith. He must be new. John, are you new? I'm just asking because you got some good points. He says you learn a lot on this show. You will learn something. If you haven't, that's because you haven't listened.
Like that, up in Northern Iraq, they were taking their poop paper or toilet paper, and you put it in the bag and they hold it out someplace, and they just bag it up. It's requested that if you fill up a bag, please tie it up and start another one.
Well, what did they in Vietnam when they had the
yeah, I knew that one.
latrine, where they had half a 50-gallon drum underneath the toilet. And when they got full, they slid them out, dumped gasoline on them, and they burned it. What?
They did not use just gasoline. It was 1/3 gasoline, 2/3 diesel. And I burned shit in desert, not necessarily during Desert Storm, but the before and after.
Yeah, okay. Well, I wasn't sure that I knew it.
And it's only about
And they used burn pits in the rock. Any place I went to, the burn pit.
Yeah. We burned a lot of shit over in our...
You started to learn who your true friends were when you got put on shit burning detail, who came and visited you.
Yeah.
And we were on shower restrictions. Only the cooks and the poop burners got to shower that day. So, other than that, it was once a week.
John, okay, I just didn't remember your name on here, but I'm glad to hear you're a repeat offender. So, well, let's see. We got 11 minutes, Mr. T.
Yeah.
You want to do Baltimore there?
Yeah. Okay, this is from World Net Daily. As Baltimore locks down, military vehicles, troops appear in city streets. Probably already heard this, but the Maryland National Guard has been deployed in the city of Baltimore in preparation to assist local authorities with humanitarian aid. The city leaders express frustration that citizens are refusing to file orders to prevent the spread of coronavirus. And this was dated March 22nd. City leaders told the Baltimore Sun on Friday that many citizens and businesses in the community have defied mandates by state and local officials prohibiting all social gatherings. While citizens have yet to receive a shelter-in-place order, the city is quickly locking down, and a ban on all non-essential travel might not be far off. It is frustrating and short-sighted to see some disregard the safety of their neighbors and risking the spread of COVID-19 for the purpose of socializing, said Baltimore Chief Melissa Hyatt in a statement. According to her, we have a duty to enforce the law within the authority that we are granted for the community to understand the magnitude of this pandemic. Hint, or a little side note here, okay? If you live in a farm like I do, unfortunately it's outside the city limits, you have to go outside to take care of the animals. They're not take care of themselves. The grass isn't high enough yet. And pastures for the goats and the horses to feed on, without supplemented with hay and oats. And of course the chickens do need food as well. Anyway, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan has prohibited social gatherings of more than 10 people, which is according to the CDC guidelines, and also ordered many non-essential businesses to close as the Sun reported. Yet many individuals and businesses in the city, despite warnings about the potential public health threat posed by coronavirus, have defied the order to self-isolate. These are not recommendations, they are life-saving measures that we will enforce, said Baltimore County Executive John Valesky Jr. These measures are necessary because we continue to see selfish and reckless behavior that jeopardizes the health and well-being of our loved ones, friends, and neighbors. Baltimore police spokesman Ricky Berhan, New York Sun, said the department has been responding to reports of large social gatherings, mostly of teenagers, but also has shut down some smaller gyms that remain open despite COVID's order. If you do violate the governor's order, we are ready to take action, Berheim said in the newspaper. The presence of military vehicles in the streets of the city was reported Friday on Twitter and later by local media. The Maryland National Guard attended the call members of a coming declaration of martial law. To our neighbors, there is no threat of martial law. The Guards verified Twitter account posted today. If you see a Maryland National Guard Humvee in the street, know that we are helping someone in need. We're delivering what you supply, or setting up tents for health screening stations. We are working for you. And I guess that's it. Anyway. I'm not sure this is no. Anyway, I'm not sure what WBFF is. What do you think they are?
Doesn't say what that is.
No, it just says the initials. I don't know if that's a newspaper or something else. Anyway, whatever the WBFF is, the airport the Guard is staging as a precaution His members are ready to carry out humanitarian missions. The Guard Deployment helps provide resources we need to support the work being done to keep Baltimore healthy, said Baltimore Mayor Jack Young in a statement. I'm confident the deployment of the National Guard will help ensure Baltimore City has everything it needs to fully address COVID-19. I'd like to thank Governor Hogan for working closely with us, said Mayor Jack Young. And this again came out March 22nd. Now I know in Pennsylvania, I won't say what town or what little city because it's not too far from me. The mayor has already stated that the police force, the fire department, and health officials are going around to enforce Governor Wolf's policies about how many people can get together and whether businesses are doing dine-in or take-out orders. If they're doing dine-in, of course that's a no-no. And the first time was a warning, the next time comes penalties.
I believe it's statewide now,
It probably is. I think somebody mentioned.
starting tomorrow.
I think Butler. Well, yeah. Some people already started. They get the memo that it got postponed until Monday. But
Well, the thing of it was when Wolf made the announcement about these things, it was after 5 o'clock when the
no, he
business.
there about 8 o'clock at night or something.
Yeah, and they had like 3 hours to comply, starting at midnight that night. So shows you the thinking of these assholes. He's got the right idea, trying to help the people, but he just doesn't have the brains how to think it out. Or else it's his advisors that told him that don't have the brains to think it out.
Did you look to see what we have for our health secretary?
No, I didn't.
Dr. Rachel Levine, who's really a guy.
Shim.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Shim.
So,
I
here we go.
I tell you, these government officials, if you haven't learned anything about this in this particular crisis, that most of the government officials are so inept. And the reason why they're so inept? Because they have inept people working for them that were given the job because of certain things.
Nepotism.
Okay?
Well,
And
Dr. Levine said that I am a parent and a pediatrician and a parent. He said, oh, God help your kids. Grandkids are all over there.
So, but you follow what I'm saying. A lot of people get their job in government because they're inept to start with. They can't make it in private practice or in the economy. So they get a job in the government. And it's the Peter principle. The more stupid you are, the higher up the ladder you go. And a perfect example of how stupid you could be and become president, take a look at Obama. Okay?
That was a forced act.
Yeah. Okay. I want a question for you. Should we just continue to go through and not take a break because we have a bunch of shit to do, or should we take a break?
It's up to you.
Let me do this one, I'll take a break.
Okay, yeah, you do that one, we'll take a break.
Sure. Yeah, everybody talk about Trump wanting to shut down the border with Mexico. The title of this article, after U.S. virus outbreak, Mexico suddenly wants border security. According to World News Daily. Mexico has suddenly decided that it likes secure borders after all. And according to the UK Daily Mail, the Mexican government is considering closing its border with the United States in order to contain COVID-19 outbreak. Nothing in health officials worry that carriers from the United States will bring the virus to the country, which has relatively few cases of the disease. Now, sign it real quick. I saw an article from Texas that Americans are crossing the border to Mexico to buy toilet paper. Anyway, Mexico wouldn't bring the virus to the United States. You're right. The United States would bring it here. Mexican health official, our minister Hugo Lopez Gatell said Then we find a news conference. Possible flow of coronavirus would come from the north to the south. Finding a lot of immigrants from illegals in Mexico were on disease not so long ago too. Anyway, if we are technically necessary, if it were technically necessary, we would consider a mechanism of restriction or stronger surveillance. I would just post the army along the border and keep everybody south of the border. Lopez Gatell is wrong. While Trump has said strong borders have contributed to contain the disease, which may be true given the fact the Trump administration has clamped down on flights from China early on in the process. Mexico itself has only 53 reported cases of COVID-19 as of Monday this week, with no deaths so far. Probably because a lot of them came north. They're already here. According to World Meter's running tally, that's a relatively low number of 0.4 cases per 1 million people. The United States, meanwhile, has 4,141 cases with 71 deaths. That's a rate of 12.5 cases per 1 million people. That's part of why, as Associated Press reported, top Mexican health officials have wondered whether they have closed the border. They have to close the border, since we have taken account not the Mexico. Well, since we have taken into account not that Mexico would bring the virus to the U.S., rather the U.S. would bring it to here. Reuters were last week that some residents of Tijuana that work over in the United States have now taken social media to generally wonder whether Trump's wall will solve some of the problems. I think so. Electrified fences, minefields, predator drones,
Got a 60 machine gun every 50 feet.
Apache helicopters on patrol.
We won't have an iron curtain, we'll have a lead curtain.
Tijuana Business Chamber official Julian Palomo wanted stronger border protections on the Mexican side. It makes sense to build a wall, but a public health wall over there, here, avoiding the risk of classical infections, he said. Like others consulted by Reuters, Palomo bemoaned the lack of checks at busy land crossing into Tijuana or nearby airports. He added that face masks, hand sanitizers, we're in short supply on both sides of the border. Here they are. I was walking in Walmart to find out why. Keep in mind that the number in both Mexico and the United States, especially the former, are probably artificially low due to the lack of testing. I mean, there could be plenty of cases of low border we simply don't know about. There's also the fact that Mexico hasn't taken the aggressive steps the United States has taken, either, or at least as quickly. Schools, for instance, will be closed starting March 20th, according to El Paso Times. So today is the 22nd, so they're already done. We'll close every Friday. While COVID-19 is certainly an unusual state of affairs, it's curious that Mexico suddenly wants to enforce the border without any problem by U.S. officials. Oh, they're fine when prompted. When the Trump administration threatened trade consequences of Mexican government to crack down on Central American migration, the number of arrests and migrants being turned back to the border reached a 2-year low last month. However, it's difficult to believe that Mexico would have done it on its own. Now it's suddenly all about proactive border security.
Go ahead, finish it up.
However, it's difficult to believe that Mexico it's probably be the same way if the position of the government it's probably the same way if it were the position of the government of Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador is. Then again, it's my perspective to think that ANO, I'm going to try to think again, has a situation Mexico under any kind of control. So we're going to see the president of Mexico does not. This is one of the few major world leaders in coronavirus-prone areas left who is shaking hands, kissing cheeks, and hugging people at campaign events as he did just last weekend. Of course, now the number of cases in Mexico is increasing, albeit slowly. The aforementioned Hugo Lopez Gatell has some different advice for his countrymen. And we have already said it's highly recommended we'll start today that we avoid agreeing with handshakes, kisses, and hugs. Let us greet each other in a way that we will not need to stay inside of the healthy distance. Not that border security is a bad thing, perhaps Mexican government has some internal issues with coronavirus to iron out as well. When we get back from our break, I need to comment about Italy and why it's so bad there based upon this right here, this last part of this part.
Okay. Is that the end of it?
That's it, yes.
That's it. Okay, we're going to take about 3 minutes to rest our voice and then get some liquid libations in us. At that point, we'll see you in about 3 or 4 minutes, kids. Don't go anywhere.
Flies at us.
That was back in the 80s.
Yeah, well, we're back. We're back. We're back.
Hi.
Hello, how are you? Hawaii's full, so you now can go to China because they got a lot of empty beds now because they killed their population off. Okay.
Speaking of China, they haven't reported any new cases, I understand, the last couple of days, and people are wondering why. Is it dying out over there? or he just not bother to report?
I think it's the latter.
Probably the latter. Anyway, going back to the article I just read about Mexico, ties into what I heard this morning. It was from a doctor, and I forget exactly her title and stuff. But anyway, she was and made a comment that people, okay, Italy has been hit pretty bad, and people think, Italy is 10 weeks ahead of us. So 10 weeks from now, we will experience all the death, and that Italy has right now here in the United States. She said, no, it's not going to happen. Now, let me tell you about Northern Italy. They had a lot of homegrown textile and other manufacturing places that were bought out by the Chinese.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Guess who is running those textile industries? The Chinese. The Chinese workers. Duh. Anyway, another thing about northern part of Italy, Italy has, I think, the second highest average age, 80 something, I think. So most of the dying there is 80 years old and older. Okay? We don't have that average age that high here in the United States. Okay? They also made to mention the fact it's a cultural thing they have over there. Mexico, okay? They want to start avoiding greetings with handshakes, kisses, and hugs. That's what they do in Italy. Handshakes, kisses, and hugs. Watch The Godfather. Okay? You'll see what I mean. And it's just not Italy, but also other places in the United States where you have Italians, hugs and kisses, handshakes. They still do that. So that is a good way, I guess, to be able to spread the disease around, okay? And we've been advised not to do that. Now, the other thing is, like here in the United States, we have the Amish. Amish have multi-generational farms, a lot of them. At least ones I know that do. You have father and mother. You have their children. And in the same house, or a house right next door, or just slightly down the road, is either the father's or the mother's parents. In Italy, as Scott mentioned, they have multi-generational family settings. You have the children. You have the parents. You have grandparents. And you may even have great-grandparents. So if the young people get sick, and they're healthy, they're strong, it may not bother them, but they spread it to their grandparents or the great-grandparents whose immune systems have been more aged over the years. May not be nearly as strong as they need to be to fight the virus, and they die off. That's one of the differences. So when you hear people talk about, 10 weeks ahead of us, or 8 weeks ahead of us, and that's what we're going to see 8 to 10 weeks down the line, don't believe all the hype, okay? That's all I got to say about it. I almost forgot. She mentioned Germany, too. Germany has a low rate right now of COVID-19. Not sure why. One thought is they drink a lot of beer and alcohol.
Well, that could
Maybe
be
something let me even try out. If you can find it.
Well, with that being said, please,
Close up.
this was posted on one of my veteran websites. I'm hoping this is true. It's it's from St. Luke's Hospital. Topic: COVID-19. To whom it may concern. After extensive research, our findings show that consuming alcoholic beverages may help reduce the risk of infection by the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. Vodka is the most recommended for drinking, cleaning, and sanitizing. I mean, that may be fake news. I'm just saying that's what popped up, and I thought.
Well, it
it
ain't
was
gonna
news.
hurt, but they closed the liquor stores down, so.
I know you can buy some liquor in grocery stores over in Ohio. I may have to get a hold of some of my Ohio brethren.
Gotta find out.
Yeah, well, it was something, well, I know our John Eagle has some, they have some, I don't know what the.
Sparkle Market over there in Andover. I used to go over there quite a bit.
I'll check it out. Yeah, after I get the feed store money, I'll check that. The Pleasant Seasons on it, so. Or something, well, actually, a beautiful list down my way still, too. I'll check it out.
One of the kids, I think it was, I hope I got the right person, G.I. Joseph, I think, is putting our show on LTR
Oh,
tonight, so I don't know if it's doing it while it's on now or is posting it later. I think it's on LTR, but I'm not sure who did it, so, or is doing it, so, we appreciate that. Whichever one of you children out there is doing that. Okay. I got one tongue-in-cheek thing, but you know, there's a lot of truth to this. There's a message to be had from this. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it basically talks about two different stories combined to one, so I'm just going to cover the one part of it. This is off of out of the Western Journal, which was posted on WorldNet Daily. President Donald Trump joked at Thursday's coronavirus briefing about getting rid of all the reporters he doesn't like, causing at least one of the media to characterize the quip as an attack. If he was going to attack you, you would have known he was attacking you. During the briefing, a reporter asked the president if he had any guidance for Congress after two congressmen announced they had tested positive for the virus. Trump instead directed his advice, partially tongue-in-cheek, to reporters in the briefing room. I know all of them, he said of Congress. I don't know if they're sitting like you people are sitting or you're actually sitting too close. Really, we should probably get rid of about 75 to 80% of you, the president said. Hooray for the president. You might have been saying it in a joking manner, but there's a lot of truth in that.
You know what? The Secret Service could use some live fire targets.
Yeah,
Oh, have mercy.
especially if they're motivated.
Well, stationary and moving too.
Yeah. High-speed targets. See to get him with your high-speed wireless device. Now that comment did bring down some ire from a couple of people's, but he's right. After watching some of these, after watching some of his briefings in the news media, asking questions, I realized, I always thought they had to be smart to be a news reporter, to be able to, do all the shit that they. Now I realize, no, they just have to be dumb. Okay, they just have to be dumb.
Mindless talking heads.
Yeah.
Bubble.
Go back to the Peter principle. The more incompetent they are, the higher up they go, and you get eventually interview the president. Yeah.
That reminds me of a conversation we had when I came home on leave after Operation Desert Storm Shield and all that. You were telling me, I think you recorded some of the press conferences, how the press were coming out and not only asking like extremely detailed questions about, where are the troops going to be? How, asking which general's doing this, which corps is doing this.
What time are they going to start the attack?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Operational security.
Yeah. Yeah. What they should have done was release the false statement. Say, okay, the attack's going to happen at 12:01 Eastern Standard Time, a week from next Monday, which is the second Monday of the third month. Figure that one out. Then in the meantime, 5 minutes later, you launch the attack.
And true. World War II, where I know the congressman or senator, he was on tour, and he gets his briefing by the Navy. And he is told that the Japanese destroyer captains and their crews, they're not very smart, and they're dropping their depth charges too shallow, and our submarines are getting away. Within a month, that changed, and we lost subs. Operation Security, don't tell the press or any top politician anything if you don't want your name out.
A phrase from back in World War II is perfect apropos today for all the ventures that we're in right now. Loose lips sink ships. Now, I'm just figure that one out. If you figure that one out, you'll be probably 5 points ahead of the curve as the rest of the people. Go ahead.
But I was in the Army. I didn't have any ships.
Well, then loose lips will blow up tanks.
Oh. I get it now. Golly. I have some more conspiracy stuff to spew.
We're not a conspiracy.
No, this is from an MIT guy. MIT doctor with 4 degrees reveals sinister theory about coronavirus. This is from Carmine Sabia from the Western Journal. A decorated scientist with 4 degrees from Massachusetts Institute of Technology believes the coronavirus pandemic is being used by the deep state for its own purposes. Shiva Ayyadurai, I apologize for murdering that name, said on Twitter that fear-mongering over the outbreak is being used to push an agenda. As an MIT PhD in biological engineering who studies and does research nearly every day on the immune system, the coronavirus fear-mongering by the deep state will go down in history as one of the biggest fraud to manipulate economies, suppress dissent, and push mandated medicine, he said. It is important to note that Ayyadurai did not say the disease is man-made or a hoax. You should follow the guidelines from doctors, federal, state, and local governments in the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. But what Ayyadurai did say is that some in the government are using the pandemic to frighten people into obedience. Think about what has transpired in less than a week's time. We have handed control of nearly everything in our lives to the government. In many places, they are telling us when we can leave our homes and when we must return to them. They have decided what events or religious services we can attend, how many people are allowed to be there, and which businesses are allowed to stay open. In the process, the global economy has crashed with the assistance of the media stirring everyone into a mass panic. People are hoarding and fighting over toilet paper as if it were the cure for COVID-19 and grabbing every canned and dry food they can find. Again, this is a very real disease and it can be dangerous, particularly to those who are immunocompromised or elderly. That said, the panic shopping and fear that many of us feel are not helping any of us. Is Ayyadurai incorrect? If a vaccine for coronavirus was available tomorrow, do you not believe that the government could and would mandate that everyone get it? Many of us would be thrilled to have it, but what about the people who decided that they would not take the vaccine? Many schools and workplaces already mandate the flu shot. Now imagine the government requiring the citizens take the medicine they are told to. If it could do that, what else could it force you to do next year, next decade, next century? We all want to be safe. We want to be safe and follow the guidelines as we do not know what we are dealing with. But it would also be wise to be vigilant and see the bigger picture. The doctor could be way off base, but if he isn't, that is a frightening prospect. I mean, I don't think he said anything too overly controversial there. But, I mean, he's just bringing up some points to ponder that, he was saying that we're being manipulated. And I don't think I've seen much in the way of any firearm issue press come out. Any shootings, looting with guns, yada, yada, yada. But we're already hearing from politicians the limitation on sales of ammo, the limitation on gun sales.
Wolf has done that.
Yeah.
One of your short stores have shut down.
Right.
They sell ammo, so you can't buy a weapon there or ammunition there.
I know Tamarack Army is closed down. He closed down. G.I. Joe, I think it's G.I. Joe and Harker Jones. One of those two is saying they got an echo on your mic, but everybody else is saying it's 5 by 5 here. So,
Maybe it's just the way I'm talking and leaning into the microphone. I don't know.
no, it could be. There's a lot of things it could be. They may be playing because of the nature of the stuff. They may be playing shit to make it hard for people to listen or understand. Anyway, who's got the next story?
Before I forget, I heard you about Baltimore lockdown and military vehicles, National Guard in Maryland. Just be advised that all Army Reserve units were told not to drill or they call it out battle assembly. So if you have a Army Reserve unit in your area, you go by there and it should be empty other than vehicles, okay? Maybe somebody to keep watching the police or whatever. But basically there's no weekend assemblies anymore. National Guard Armies are a bit different. They're run by the governor. Each state, so they can fall under the governor's control, or they gotta be federalized, okay, by a presidential order. And just a word to Liza, if you have a reserve unit in your area, and you see people in uniform in the reserve center, one or two things have happened. Either A, you're told, hey, you go back and do your weekend drills, and you want like you used to do, or they've been mobilized through presidential order to support domestic operations. Or quite possibly could be mobilized to go overseas, but in this case, that just, just think the worst. Or maybe, there'll probably be an announcement they're going overseas, but just keep an eye on the reserve unit location and see what happens.
There are several things they could be doing. One, because they want to close the border down between the U.S. and Mexico, they could be deploying more troops there. Could. I'm not saying they aren't, but they could. Or they're getting ready to do, like you said, do the undeclared martial law.
Yeah, that's why the word to wise, keep an eye on the reserve center. Because they're manned.
Well, we have a...
still in this kind of lockdown phase. I don't think they're having weekend drills. They're going to do something. Again, could be going overseas, or some kind of, reconnaissance operation.
I'll have to go by the reserve center down here on Morgan Street tomorrow when I go get some milk. The hill on Morgan Street is about 1.5 miles from here, 2 miles. And they have a big parking lot in the back with vehicles in it. They have a big parking lot in the front for the cars. So I'll go down by there, I'll see what's going on down there. So,
anyway, I touched on this next article. U.S. jail releases hundreds of inmates to protect them from coronavirus despite no known cases. Or that daily really published in the Western World. Do you know what we need during a national emergency?
more guns, more food, more ammo.
More of those criminals out in the streets.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Yeah, put more out there.
This is apparently a lesson we're supposed to take on officials in Cuyahoga County, Ohio. Jack us up your way. The jurisdiction was outside the city of Cleveland is located. Ohio's second most populous county has decided to release hundreds of inmates in the Cuyahoga County Jail over the fear of COVID-19. Here's one thing. Not a single person in the jail, as when this was written on March 19th, was known to be infected. According to WJWTV, our station is out of Cleveland, judges of the Cuyahoga County Court were concerned that the virus may quickly spread in the facility. Okay, if there are not a lot of visitors, they don't people do that with the cars. Judges held a special Saturday morning session to settle cases with guilty pleas. Release inmates, send them to prison, or release them on house arrest. Earlier this week, Administrative Judge Brendan Sheehan told the station many of the inmates were in poor health, which he said made a potential breeding ground for COVID-19. Why do they have poor health? According to CNN, more than 200 inmates were released from jail out of the total population of 1,970. Or any kind of inmate was up for release as well. You gotta remember, the goal of this is to protect the community and the safety of the inmates, said Judge Sheehan. If someone is a serious violent person, well, we're using our discretion to make sure they're community safe also. Sheehan said they're also making room for a possible quarantine. We're trying to make as much as possible so the virus hits our jail. Jail can deal with these people, quarantine them, and deal with it instead of letting them sit there and infect the whole jail. Again, 0 cases in jail. There are 50 confirmed cases in the same as of Monday, but that's gone up. According to and Governor Mike DeWine, Republican, has suspended the state's primary, but that's it. On a side note, our governor is thinking we move our primary from April 20th to sometime in June, maybe? In July. I mean, catch the exact date. Surprisingly, Sheehan and his squad are less local than the squad members. The squad member rep.
The squids?
No, the squad member rep. Anaya, president of Massachusetts. I think she's one of his long days. Somehow between the time he spent ministering to the sick. Okay. Somehow between the time he spent ministering to the sick and house bound a flock during this no doubt trying COVID-19 crisis, the cleric, the Reverend Al Sharpton, managed to tape a TV show of MSNBC on Saturday, in which Prelude from Massachusetts was a guest. During her appearance, first-term Congresswoman said prisoners should be given compassionate release, as she was advocating for with 2 squad members and other liberal Democrats. Compassionate release. Another reason, if you can, to buy now a weapon and ammo, if you still can, and if you have them already, great. Stay armed. Stay vigilant for you to
Since
stay
you,
around.
I want to inject something here. So I've been watching the kids that are talking about how the ammo's drying up. There's another place that you can try, kids, other than Ammo Man. UN Ammo. Punch it in, they have ammo by the caseloads, at least they did have. Doesn't mean they still do. But if you're looking to buy now, you're probably waiting a little bit too late. And so go ahead.
According to the president, this pandemic, COVID-19, has certainly highlighted and activated every social.
UN ammo is down, so it must be being overrun with orders.
And every social rational political fault line in our country. And I'm just advocating to make sure that when we are talking about those vulnerable or low-income citizens, resident citizens, those experiencing homelessness, our seniors, that we are also including the incarcerated men and women who are still among one of those vulnerable populations. Now, I think it's I think Allegheny County, by Pittsburgh, is decided to release their prisoners too, or non-violent ones. And given the crowding overpopulation of prisons for a confluence of reasons that we don't want to get into the interview, our ecosystem and a petri dish for spreading this pandemic, which is why I partnered with my colleagues, Representative Vasquez and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib to lobby the Bureau of Prisons to use their full power and to communicate guidance on for how we will contain and mitigate this epidemic behind the wall. I didn't say leaving there. She wanted to ask whether prisoners have been tested for coronavirus, and what quarantine measures were. The amazing thing is that this stance isn't much different from the president's default position. In other words, she knows they're using this virus as an excuse to push policy positions. Never let a good crisis go to waste. What were you up for?
No.
Anyway, saying this is problematic isn't for lack of compassion for prisoners. If someone doesn't need to be in prison, he shouldn't be there. Okay, I agree with that. Nonviolent. The problem is, as we've seen in many disastrous bail reform initiatives, a new favorite cause of the left, the people who often pursue this sort of thing on the aegis of criminal justice reform have a different definition of who needs to be behind bars than, say, reality does. It's true. This is what is pattern play. Hasty, quick pleas to get jail people back out in the street aren't necessarily going to help anything, especially when and if the first of these individuals arrested for something unseemly, then we have the opposite argument. Cuyahoga County is alone. In Los Angeles, they're reducing arrests for an average of 380 to 60 because of coronavirus. Also, in Philadelphia, they're not going to arrest people either. Anyway, this is somehow supposed to keep people safe. Now, according to Sheehan, we are protecting the public and the safety of inmates. That's really our goal. How do you protect the public safety when you're letting people out of jail? Anyway, now let me just quick be sure about that first part here, Judge. With no known cases in jail and 2 inmates back out in the street after quickly pleas or house arrest arrangements, this might mean a small portion of the inmate population is less likely to COVID-19, a disease no one in prison has tested positive for. As an arrested resident of Cuyahoga County, I'd like to explain to them how this thing makes them safer, but I can't.
Yeah, supposedly you put these people away because they are bad people. But yet you're going to turn around and release them. And what better place to keep them quarantined than in a prison, in their own cell?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
Self-quarantine, they're already there.
If they're there already,
Yeah.
the only way they're going to get something is from a visitor, which you have to stop. Or the guards, because they're going in and out into the public.
Well, then the guards have to start staying there.
Then, well, I don't know if they had a place for them.
Well, they can make place for them. They can sleep down in solitary.
It's lock the key.
I'm concerned that that's what they're gonna end up doing with us down there at the home. Not that we have any room, but they can put up cots if need be.
Where? The city jail, you mean?
No, where I work,
Oh,
at the nursing home.
well, if it comes that bad,
It may need to happen.
it may need to happen, yeah.
I've already kind of, in Pennsylvania, they outlawed, or they did away with mandating healthcare workers, forcing them to do doubles on a regular basis, that kind of stuff. And they haven't said anything to us about being forced to work over, but if our residents need taken care of, it's got to happen.
Well, if they can keep the residents from getting sick.
Well, it's more the staff that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but if you keep the residents from getting visitors and stuff, the only way they would be getting in there is if the staff brought it, but like you said, they have a check-in procedure.
Yep, they do.
And as long as they adhere to that procedure, then they should be able to. But if a person is contaminated but doesn't have the fever, doesn't mean he can't be contagious when he goes in there, see?
True.
That's the trick about this. The only time they can figure out that you got it is when you start showing symptoms.
And that's when comes in the proper hygiene, the washing of the hands, using hand sanitizer, covering your cough. Covering your mouth, and yada, yada, yada.
So Scott gets the bug, doesn't realize he has it because he's feeling fine. He goes to work. Comes home. Goes back to work. It might be, 4 days?
Could very well be, yeah.
So already you had spent 3 days at work, let's say.
I'm just hoping that if I do get sick, that I get the fever right away. So, even on the weekends, I check my temperature at least every day. Sometimes, and my wife.
Well,
and child as well.
I know businesses are taking people's temperatures. That's because, you go to work, you get temperature taken, and you're fine. But you won't be exposed, don't know it,
Yeah.
and aren't showing any symptoms yet. Maybe day 3 or 4, 5, whatever. And then, so, they may catch you on day 3 if your temperature is going to be elevated. Day 4. Hey, Scott, your temperature is a little high? Yeah, but not too good.
Well, if you're coming through the door and that temperature's high, you are not allowed to come to work. You are sent home self-quarantine, and actually, you think, and if your symptoms get too bad, you're asked to go to the hospital. But they're, with the, at least as of last week, we had one of our residents who got a respiratory issue, and the daughter called in, and she was livid. She wanted mom tested for COVID-19 and yada, 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 yada. And talking with one of our medical directors, his office had 3 tests that he was issued, and the CDC has a very strict set of guidelines for when you, at least last week, you know, as the tests become more readily available, I'm sure they'll be more apt to test, but as of last week, you know, hospitals, yeah, they have priority, but nursing homes, not so much. But we are doing our due diligence, and we're going to take care of our residents.
To see and hear somebody, one of the kids in the chat room has made the comment, to build up your system, you need to take zinc, vitamin D3, C, and garlic, okay, to help build up your system, to help resist a lot of infections. But if you have some vodka, you can always drown yourself in vodka.
And also with taking a lot of garlic, it'll help with the social distancing, because nobody will want to get anywhere near you.
More ways than one. Rip. Oh my,
Garlic.
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 Then that ain't garlic smell.
Garlic smells like garlic, and you will know it's garlic when it leaks. And don't forget, colloidal silver. If you have the means to make it, make it. And if you don't know how to make it, I can give you the details.
Do the anti-vampire thing, the garlic necklace.
Yeah. Oh.
Ooh.
Basically, take a couple of the toes and squeeze them so that they open up so the juice can run out, the aroma. Anyway, if you want to try and protect yourself, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. But one thing is colloidal silver. You can make it yourself. It doesn't take a rocket science just to do this. You get 2 pieces of jeweler's silver, about 6 to 8 inches in length. Put a hook on them and you put them in a jar. If you got sterile water or well water, if you got city water, why you want to go buy some water. Distilled water would be best. But anyway, you put the water in, have it warm, just not hot, but just a little warm. Put a drop or 2 of lemon juice in it, and hook up the battery charger, the little 12-volt battery chargers that they make, or converters for power supplies for everything. You hook them up to the stick, and it will, depending on the size jar you're making, 20 to 30 minutes, it will silverize the water. You take it out, wipe them off. I've been using the same sticks, and you can see them dissolving a little bit each time. But ever since I was told about it, I've been using the same 2 sticks for the last 25 years, making silver, and I just made up a batch for my son and myself.
You're hard pressed to get that jeweler's silver now, at least for the jewelry stores, because I'm sure they're all closed.
Well, they probably are, but maybe you got friends in some states that aren't having that problem. 'Cause remember, the states out in the west don't have quite the same problem we do.
Daryl's in the case of double.
Or if you got a silver coin, like a couple of old. If I had to do it and I couldn't get the jeweler's silver, I'd get a couple of the 1 ounce American Eagle silver coins. Dip them into the water, because they're 99.9% pure silver. Okay, so what's your life worth? Is it worth losing a couple of silver coins? Or are the silver coins more important to you, and then when you kick the bucket they are no use, they go to somebody else? You figure it out. Just do what I'm saying. John Smith, he uses silver ingots. Of course, there again, depends on whether you've got it or not. You can get silver online from several different places, and right now, silver, I saw, was it today or yesterday, silver had dropped back down to the lowest it's been in the last 2 years. Back down to like $12 or $13 an ounce. So,
Boy, howdy.
yeah, so now if you had $100, it'd be pay you to go buy a pound. And even if it's ingots, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
Maybe I'll buy some when Uncle Sam gives me some money. That's what I'll do.
yeah, mercury dimes, the only problem with the mercury dimes is it's small enough that you might swallow it when you're drinking something because you forgot it's there. It felt sort of like between your cheek and gum, I forgot it was there, you know, and can't breathe.
I shouldn't have breathed in.
They think you got, then they think you got the coronavirus and they want to respirate you and put a tube down your throat and shove that thing down in there further.
Had to call maintenance for one of our residents the other day. I won't give too many details, but she was complaining that her ear was plugged up. So our nurse went down, and somehow she got a hearing aid battery in her ear, and she tried putting her hearing aids in, and it pushed it even farther down. They tried using tweezers and everything else. What they ended up doing is calling maintenance, and they came up with one of their little magnetic, probes for picking up, and they were able to get her ear pried open just enough to get that magnet in there, and they popped the little bugger right out of her ear.
My brother, when he was younger, put a popcorn kernel in his ear.
Oh.
Okay, and we ended up having to take him to the hospital to get it out because everything he tried to do at home just kept pushing it further and further. So I don't know what they did, but they sucked it right out of there. That's where the expression comes, don't put beans in your ears.
They'll sprout.
Yeah, J.M. Bullion has something to say. If you purchase volume, you can get for roughly $19 an ounce. So, there again, kids are right on top of everything. You make a suggestion and then they come up with the information. Can't afford a monster box? Well then just buy what you can afford. You may have to pay $1 an ounce more, but you buy what you can afford. Okay? Nobody says you have to try and get rich. And this is another thing. I've been telling people for years to buy some precious metal other than copper, brass, lead, and blue steel. You needed to buy some silver and some gold. So, you getting buzzed?
No.
Oh.
When I bumped my phone, it shook the cord and it said that it was charging.
Yeah, because it's on the autoplay thing here now. And, my voice is failing me again. I've been talking too much. No gun shows either. Uh-oh. Mr. T just took my story. Go ahead.
Oh, you want that?
No, go ahead.
New York Attorney General orders televangelists Jim Baker to stop advertising silver solutions in the coronavirus treatment. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo declared a state of emergency amid a spike of coronavirus cases. The state's attorney general, Tita James, is going after Christian televangelists for false advertising. A guest on the Jim Baker Show on February 12th, Cheryl Selman, was asked if the silver solution sold for $125 on his website would be effective against coronavirus. Let's say it hasn't been tested on the strain of the coronavirus, Selman, and not naturopathic doctor is quoted as saying that it has been tested on other strains of the coronavirus and has been able to eliminate it within 12 hours. This is a side note. The other week, I wish I had saved the article, 20% of colds can be classified as coronavirus. Anyway, Lisa Landau, I guess, sent a cease and desist letter to Baker, who has previously served jail time for federal fraud and conspiracy charges in the 90s. On March the 3rd, giving him 10 business days to comply or probably face a fine of $5,000 for violation. Your shows say it may mislead consumers as the effectiveness of consumer solution product in protecting them against the current outbreak. Landau Group. Now, I didn't say who she is. Okay. The World Health Organization, their known FDA-approved medicine or vaccine able to prevent or treat COVID-19 at this time. This is dated March 12th. As we experience more cases of coronavirus, it's imperative that New Yorkers remain calm and vigilant, the Attorney General said in a statement. Well, they don't pay attention to the media hype and terror and trauma legacy. In addition to being mindful about our health, we must also be aware of unscrupulous actors who attempt to take advantage of this fear and anxiety to scam or deceive consumers. Side note, if you get a phone call or you get a text message asking for donations to fight the coronavirus or to buy this or that to fight it off, it's a scam. And there's some people who've got those kind of messages. Don't reply to them, just delete them. Okay. In addition to being mindful about our health, we must also be aware, I encourage anyone who believes they are a victim of scam or predatory action to contact my office and to file a complaint. So yes, you get one of these phone calls or messages, you contact your local county office or call the state attorney general's office and let them know. And then goes on to say, Jim Baker, pictures above and below. We wanted to drop advertising the silver solution as a effective treatment for coronavirus. And just said that he served, Baker served 5 years and 45 years sentence for stealing millions in the ministry of Praise the Lord Club. And he's also accused of rape back in the 1980s. But anyway, take it for what it's worth.
Take it for what it's worth. But I've known colloidal silver, I've been taking it for years.
I don't know about the silver solution anything like it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Colloidal silver works.
And then if you have the wherewithal, you could follow up with colloidal gold, which is made the same way. You take gold and you dip it in water with a little lemon juice, put the electrodes to it, and the gold enhances the water. And it's supposed to pick up where silver left off, yeah. And, yes, sir, you over there in the corner.
All right.
Patiently being quiet.
I have another story here, and it's kind of frustrating because I have background in manufacturing, and I'm going to throw this out there to premise this. These politicians are saying, we need to ramp up we need to get these ventilators made now. Obviously, they've never been at a manufacturing facility where they're switching from making apples to oranges, making, it's not something you can just snap your fingers. You got to bring in machines. You got to change the entire setup of your facility. You got to completely retool. So, them saying, the president needs to do this. Well, there's only so much you can do, and the manufacturers are going to do it. They want to make money. Okay, so with that being said, on Thursday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called on President Trump to invoke the Defense Production Act and assume dictatorial powers in the United States. Pelosi wrote, right now, shortages of critical medical and personal protective equipment are harming our ability to fight the coronavirus epidemic, endangering frontline workers and making it harder to care for those who fall ill. The President must immediately use the powers of the Defense Production Act to mass produce and coordinate distribution of these critical supplies before the situation worsens and the shortages become even more dire. There is not a day to lose. We must put more testing, more production equipment, and more ventilators into the hands of our frontline workers immediately. There is nothing about ramping up a new product line that can be done immediately. Yeah, it's easy to say, it's easy to throw it at the president and say, see, you have this authority and you didn't use it. Well, he's a businessman. He knows that these other businessmen want to make money, and they're going to do
Yeah,
what.
part of the reason they can't just start production right now is you have a new product that's out of your line. You don't have the tooling. You may have machinery that will work, but you don't have the dies. Those take time to create, okay? So depending how complicated the product is, the longer it takes to make the dies. So the order has to be placed, dies have to be designed to fit the particular machine, and then produced. And like you said, that all takes time. Then you gotta run your samplings to make sure everything is right before you go into full production.
You can't go out this willy-nilly. It's not like you're out there chopping wood, just splitting and throwing it in the fire. It's, especially with medical stuff, it's very particular, it's very fickle, it's very...
So that's, you know,
Okay, back to that. On Wednesday, Trump signed the act, but also tweeted, "I only signed the Defense Production Act to combat the Chinese virus should we need to invoke it in a worst-case scenario in the future. Hopefully there will be no need, but we are all in this together." ABC News explained how much power the act would give Trump. As Ed Morrissey of Hot Air commented, "It's basically authority to impose a wartime command economy." Here's how ABC News described the powers given the president. The executive branch under this law can essentially dictate industry production and force companies to sign contracts telling them how to allocate materials. The president can also impose wage and price controls, settle labor disputes, and control consumer and real estate credit, among other authorities given by the law. Yet private industry is already rising to the occasion. And hear that. As Forbes reported on Wednesday, General Motors Corp. Chairman and CEO Mary Barra reportedly suggested to top White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow the automaker could build hospital ventilators while its plants are idled due to the coronavirus pandemic. Speaking on Fox News Wednesday, Kudlow said he spoke with executives from 2 of the 3 Detroit-based automakers, that apparently alluded to Barra when he explained, "One of them told me even while the men and women may be off for 2 weeks due to the virus, she's going to try to call them back so they can produce ventilators, and they might even ask them to do it on a voluntary basis for civic and patriotic reasons." Reuters reported on Thursday, General Electric's healthcare unit said on Thursday it was hiring more people and shifting current employees to ramp up production of ventilators as the global coronavirus pandemic leads to surge in demand for medical equipment. The company said its actions came in response to an unprecedented demand for medical equipment. GE did not disclose how many additional ventilators it expected to produce.
yeah, it's
That's my phone.
Oh,
I skipped getting a phone call. All right.
thankful.
After Trump signed the Defense Production Act, Democratic Congressman Andy Levin of Michigan stated, "Invoking the Defense Production Act of 1950 was a great step, and I thank the President. It is essential that the President make urgent use of all authorities granted to him by the Act to direct the domestic production of supplies needed to address the COVID-19 pandemic." He continued, "I will continue to press President Trump and his administration to call the CEOs of companies relevant to our most urgent needs into the White House, give them precise production quantities and dates they have to meet, and give them 48 hours to present a plan to produce what we need. If they cannot provide satisfactory plans, the Defense Production Act gives the President powers to take additional steps to make sure we do what we have to protect the American people in the greatest public health crisis in a century. There is not 1 minute to spare. We cannot let partisanship, ego, or the aim to score political points get in the way of what we must do to save lives. Let's get this done." And that's what's going to happen. This is a capitalistic society. People want to make money. People are going to want to go back to work. People are scared. They want to make sure they can buy more toilet paper. They're going to come to work.
Randall got laid off the shop that he worked at. He got notified over the weekend that they're closing. A shop across the street from them is closed. So, you know, but they're tool and die industry. So they could get orders that will bring them back to work to make these dies that needed to make the product. Okay, I don't know how many different medical products that are out there that they use. I'm sure, you know, syringes, bottles for medicine, the test strip kits, the
And the
masks,
connectors inside the ventilators.
Yeah.
There's, you know, the shells.
Yeah.
It's all, but it has to be done in a very precise, particular mechanical way.
Now, back during World War II when they geared up, it took the United States about 1.5 to 2 years to gear up. There were shortages. Even when the war was going on, when they were ramped up to the peak, there were still shortages of the excess material to give to the civilians, even though they were working and making the war material. Okay, they were given gas stamps for gas rationing. They were given food cards for so much food, allocations, I guess is what you want to call it. So, I mean, they did what they had to do. The dies from most of that equipment, the U.S. government saved. So if they ever had to build a B-17, somewhere out there is all the equipment to build a B-17, okay? Stored in some factory, some warehouse somewhere. But the situation here is we're fighting a new kind of enemy, and we don't have that tooling, so it all has to be made.
And I'm sure there's some, like ventilator XYZ, there's probably some pieces, parts, you know, some factory somewhere has discontinued a certain model and warehoused the necessities for making it. And these medical companies, they keep certain amounts of parts on hand for the ones that are already made. So, I mean, yeah, they can ramp it up, but they're going to. People want to make money. They're scared, they're going to do it.
But just like you said, it takes time. It's not something you it's midnight Friday. Tomorrow or Monday morning, I expect 250,000 masks here by 10 o'clock. It ain't going to happen that way. Now, if they have a standing inventory,
But
you can call up and you will get it just about that fast because they have the standing inventory.
therein lies, you know, going back, you know, in 1950, they didn't, or maybe they were just starting. It's what's called just-in-time shipping.
Yeah.
You know, you only make enough to fill your order and maybe a certain percentage over because you can't afford to keep warehouse upon warehouse upon warehouse of these masks.
You get taxed.
You get taxed and it's overhead. So, and I think it all came from the Japanese. They started a just-in-time.
Japanese or Chinese, one of the two, they have that just in time. So.
And they actually have their whole community. Like, you know, the main factory is in this location, and like it's like a wagon wheel. Satellite out, they have all the smaller factories that make all the pieces parts, and the main company, the main facility said, okay, we need 3,000 parts to make our 3,000 pieces, and that's what is produced.
Well, that's what kept them going in World War II, even after we bombed the shit out of them, was the home industry. Each one of them would build a certain part and pass it to the next one. By the time it got down to the end of the line, you had an assembled rifle or an airplane, okay? And that's what kept them putting planes and arming their troops for in the latter days of the war. And it's hard to defeat a country that's geared that way. Okay?
It's after 8 o'clock, by the way.
Yeah, we're 2 minutes past the hour. Okay, kids, remember, next week I do not plan to be here. If things should change, all I can tell you to do is check, and if you are posted on YouTube as a friend or like or whatever they call it, you will get a buzz to let you know that we're on the air. So, hopefully things will, if I'm not here next week, hopefully things will only be for a week or two, and then we'll try to get back to normal. But that's all dependent upon all these different bans that they're putting on or talking about doing. Okay? So at that point, kids, good night. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget.
I got one more thing to say.
Fire.
Look out for your elderly neighbors and friends and family, because not all of them can get to the store. If you're going to the store, give your neighbor a call. Hey, do you need some eggs and bread? You know, that's what we're trying to do where I work, because there's independent living, but a lot of them, you know, yeah, they'll run to the store real quick down to Valesky's to grab something, but you know, they don't feel comfortable driving out all the way to Walmart. So look out for each other. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. T, anything?
With all the talk about lockdowns and stay at home, especially for Pennsylvania, pay attention to what's going on with the news. You know, try to keep updated with what's going on, especially here in this state. And what what's going to do to us. Like I said, I've heard talk that they may go this week to start the 14-day stay-at-home plan. So why you can't check your refrigerator, your shelves, and hey, is there anything I really need, put in the freezer or something, and try to get it as soon as you can.
Yep.
And good luck to all of us.
Okay, on that point, good night, kids, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay.